Toger, your friendly neighborhood colorectal surgeon. It's early in the morning, and if you're watching what I'm doing right now, it's probably quite frustrating because watching Dr. Toker go live is a vexing and frustrating thing. And I just have to wait for all the platforms to pop up. Now, um, okay, there you go. And good morning and welcome to our morning event and what I like to call the surgical bullpen. And the purpose of doing these meetings so early in the morning is because surgeons tend to wake up early in the morning. I do record this both in video format and then audibly and turn it into a podcast. So if you're listening on Spotify, you can't see what I'm doing and thank your lucky stars because I'm still learning the technology. So I'm not quite there yet to make it smooth. And of course, I'm just an army of one. This early in the morning, no one's really helping me. And I don't know how those podcast guys, they must have helpers. They have to have helpers. Make it look so seamless. Where you're getting an amateur podcast right now. Although I have been a surgeon for a very long time, so I believe the information is real. Today's topic is a fascinating one, in my personal opinion. It is on a technology that's called Super Patch, and really the scientific name for that is a haptic vibra vibrile tactile technology. That's a mouthful. So the name of the company is called Super Patch. Now they do sponsor these morning events. So you should probably know with informed consent, I sit on their medical board. Now, they've never once told me what I can and cannot say, and this is no exception to the rule. I've only been told to be honest, don't make false claims, and just don't leave false hope. This is a technology that is very unique. I'd like to liken it towards probably in my line of work, it's very similar to something called laparoscopic surgery. And if you know anything about surgery, then you've heard the term laparoscopic surgery. Laparoscopic surgery was discovered or designed or invented over 30 years ago. And when it first started as a technique, it was in France. Actually, some French surgeons invented laparoscopy. It was considered unethical, verboten, right? You were not allowed to do that. In fact, they were not allowed to train residents in the act of laparoscopic surgery because it was just so not what was taught. And now it's the standard of care. I mean, they're in surgery residencies. Some of these young trained surgeons really don't get much experience doing old-fashioned open surgery. So now that was a 30-year period of time, revolutionized the art of surgery. And so this technology falls, in my opinion, in that category. It is so unique that it can be a struggle to explain what the hell it is because there's no medicine in this technology. What it contains is a texture, and the texture uses a known described pathway in your body that connects your skin to your brain and what we call the autonomic nervous system. And I will talk about that as we go along so that you can understand what the technology is. This is not a cure for anything. It's not disease specific at all. It is autonomic nervous system specific. You have a bunch of different pathways in your brain that connect your brain to every aspect of your body. And parts of your body organ systems tend to be organized by this autonomic nervous system. This is all occurring without your knowledge, which is why you can't feel this technology working. Yeah, you can't feel your autonomic nervous system working. It's happening automatically. You don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to think about your heart beating. You don't have to think about standing upright. These are all autonomic pathways. And this technology normalizes these autonomic pathways. Doesn't make them superheroes, doesn't turn them off, doesn't ramp them up to hyper, just puts them into normal, into your specific normal. And normal for the human brain can be tracked through something called an EEG. And on EEG tracings, every human who's ever applied this technology has seen a change in their EEG. Clinically, 95% of patients who use this technology have a systemic improvement for the time period that they're wearing the technology. So I want you guys to think of it, it's not a medicine, does not fall in a pharmacy category. They are FDA registered, but it's not a medication. This is more like, a physical therapy device would probably be the best category to put it in. And we'll describe that. Now, of course, I'm a colorectal surgeon. And when I first approached this company, it was, can you help my patients recover quicker from surgery? So my primary objective as a surgeon is to get a patient in, do an operation, get them home, no complications. How can we do that in the quickest way back to normal function? That is the goal of every surgeon on this planet, or at least that's supposed to be the goal of every surgeon on this planet. For me, it's still the goal. Okay, so like, how can we do that? And so this is after discussions with the CEO and the inventor of this technology, my research of the scientific literature. This is my description of what's happening. It's an extremely complicated science that I feel like my role in life is to educate people on the simplicity of how it is working, and so that you can understand. This is another arrow in the quiver of things that you can do in your life that does not require a prescription, that has no medicines and no contraindications, to make your life better. And I'm going to describe how I use it as a surgeon in my own practice. Okay, so that's the goal this morning. That took a long time for me to explain. Okay, so vibrotactile technology. This is how a doctor would use it. Now, you should probably also know, because I've had a couple of people contact me, Dr. Tucker, this is available online only through affiliate sales. How can it possibly be real? Okay, I get your point. This is a small startup company. The owner of the company has turned down some obscene offers to purchase the company. He refuses to do it because he knows the second a pharmaceutical company buys it, they will bury the technology, because this is a huge threat to the pharmacy industry. My talking about this product may or may not be one of the reasons why social media doesn't like me too much. So that which gets paid for by a pharmacy industry does not like this technology. And so, yeah, for that company to expand, that was the business model that they chose. It does not make the technology somehow invalid. There's an army of doctors like me that are coming online. You will start seeing this present in doctors' offices, in hospitals, in physical therapy and occupational therapy offices. You will see insurance companies approving some of these as part of your insurance policy. That's part of the program, the direction that the company would like to go. And I'm just a small cog in that little wheel, but I love the technology in the same way that I embraced laparoscopic surgery when no one else was doing it. Robotic surgery. I was told robotic surgery and colorectal surgery don't go together. I haven't done an open surgery in 16 years, 15 years. Because I adopted robotic surgery very early, and now almost every colorectal surgeon in America is doing robotic surgery, and I feel like this technology is in par with that in my line of work. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today, digestive health. Y'all already, if you don't know who I am, and if you're listening on Spotify, now I have to talk to the Spotify people now because they can't see any of these slides. I will make these slides available on our website. And that way you can follow along if you're listening to the podcast, or if you just want to look at it. Not much to look at, but but if you want to. I am a colorectal surgeon. I'm the creator of an online program called Gut Check. And right now, that is a one-time purchase. I'm thinking about changing that to a lower price monthly membership just so more people can have access to it. I do public speaking, and I am a corporate medical consultant on a medical board for two companies. One's called Super Patch and one is called PFC3. So that's sort of my disclosure for this lecture. All right, there's three things that I want to accomplish. One, to describe what is homeostasis, because the purpose of these devices is to achieve autonomic nervous system homeostasis. I also want to describe what is autonomic control, and in particular, what is the gut-brain axis and what is the brain-adrenal gut axis. That's kind of like two different things that sort of overlap. And then logical conclusions based on the way the science is created, how I would use this technology to improve someone's digestive health, to improve their healing after surgery. And I am sad to say, my first lecture that I gave in this format didn't save as a video. I have no evidence that I did it except Instagram, who is sort of shadow banning me. You may never be able to find that. So I will re-record it and post it everywhere as I have done the last two morning surgical bullpens, what I call grand round surgical bullpen. Okay, what is homeostasis? Everyone knows what this is, but you may not know the words for it. It's your body's ability, or really any system ability, living and non-living, believe it or not, ability to achieve an equilibrium. And no matter how it changes in one direction or the other, it achieves equilibrium. These are known physical facts of the thermodynamic world. It's the entirety of the basis of biologic life is a series of these homeostasis pathways, what we call biofeedback pathways. And in fact, oh, look at that. I do things with my hands and I'm sorry, I've got ADD that distracted the hell out of me. Did you see that? Spotify people, I'm so sorry you didn't see that. This program, if you move your hands just right, will do background stuff for you. It's kind of annoying, and I don't know how to turn it off. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so homeostasis, critical for life. Without it, the homeostatic pathway you achieve is cold and room temperature. And that is a homeostatic pathway. You will remain cold and room temperature for eternity once your biologic pathways cease to exist. Now, every organ has its own homeostasis, including your brain. Okay. An example of how this works, if I can get this video to work, and I can't. All right. Well, this is why I'm glad I took most of the videos out. It's a lady who's doing a hula hoop. If you've ever done a hula hoop, that is a good visual representation of homeostasis. If you've ever had to balance on a balance beam, that's homeostasis. Frankly, for some of us, as we get older, standing up, homeostasis. Okay. And it can be a beautiful thing to watch. It's one of the reasons why I love watching people ice skate in athletic ventures. This technology actually from Super Patch really has taken off in the professional world of athletes because it improves this balance homeostasis. And it is a thing of marveling beauty to watch someone with that kind of, let's call it physical intellect. It is an IQ to watch some of these athletes do what they do. It's why we pay money to watch it, right? So your body is doing that on a microscopic level at all times. Yet for some reason, we don't pay money to watch that. And that is actually more remarkable than watching someone catch a ball, but whatever. Okay, so organ systems are constantly fighting to achieve homeostasis. Now, in a complex organism such as an advanced mammal, which you are human, an advanced mammal, there are a lot of systems that are overlapping. Not just your brain senses, but you've got an endocrine system, you've got a vascular system. In the human body, in my line of work, we talk about the microbiome, which, as it turns out, is critical. And we'll talk about the microbiome in a different lecture because that is also friggin' fascinating. But anyway, so right, so these things are all talking to each other. Everyone's trying to gain ground on somebody else, but the brain is not allowing that. Okay. You're constantly changing, and your brain has to take in these signals at all times and pump out at all times micro changes to your body systems to overcome. Okay. Things that can cause false feedback. Just like if you were talking in a microphone and you get that loud false feedback, that can happen in your brain. And so it's an error in the system, and it can happen as a result of your environment, toxins you may be taking in, hormonal imbalances, diseases. Okay, so as these things hit your body, your brain has a harder and harder time keeping it together. Do you know what I'm saying? For those of us who've gotten older, we're just trying to keep it together, okay? And it gets harder as you have exposure and chronic exposure to your environment. The modern lifestyle, you are exposed. There is better living through chemistry, and I love it. Oh my God, I am addicted to modern life. I can't go camping. I can't go back. But that comes with a consequence. Noises that your body is not accustomed to, doesn't know what to do with. Light frequencies that your body doesn't know what to do with. Toxins and chemicals in your environment that your body does not know what to do with. And your brain is trying to keep it together. Okay. Now your brain is constantly communicating with your body. And as these false feedbacks come in, your brain can misinterpret some of these signals just to kind of keep everything, all the wheels in track, and that can lead to disease states. So when you do EEGs, and the founder of this technology, the inventor of this technology, actually purchased a database, the largest database of EEGs in the world, to look for this one phenomenon, that if you have a particular disease, your EEG will look a very particular way. And each disease state has its own specific pattern in the EEG, believe it or not. Because as you're stressing a pathway, your brain is speeding things up or slowing things down to try to get that pathway normal. So you can diagnose, and it's very Star Trek-y cool stuff, that what that means, and they don't do it yet. That means they can do an EEG to diagnose exactly what your disease is. It seems like that would be way less invasive, less expensive than all the stuff we're currently doing. I find that fascinating. I don't think anybody is studying that, but man, they should, because that is cool. That's very, I mean, that's like alien. That's why I tell this company, they're like aliens. This is like alien technology, but it isn't. The science on this has been known for decades and decades, and probably 20 years ago, a Nobel Prize was won based on this technology. Well, the technology is based on that Nobel Prize. And we'll go over that in just a minute. When you have normal, so now speaking to gut health, somebody who has normal intestinal health. Okay, so we just talked about the homeostasis of your body and blah, blah, blah. How does that pertain to normal gut health? Well, somebody with normal gut health has predictable eating patterns, bowel habits. They don't have any complaints. They're not bloated. They're not gassy. They're not constipated. They don't have diarrhea. They poop twice a day. They poop twice a week. There's a lot of factors that go into that, not just this neurologic homeostasis, but your diet, your hydration, your activity, your hormone level, your stress level. Okay. The microbiome neurotransmitters that go from your gut to your brain control a lot of this, which means your brain is reacting to your poop, right? So when my mom said I had shit for brains when I was a teenager, I mean, she was actually pretty accurate. We all have the poop brains. If I offended someone at 6 a.m. for saying that, you have to remember I'm a surgeon. I curse like a sailor. So anyway, so let's start with gut health how it interacts with your brain and your endocrine system, which is also controlled by your brain. And then how I'm going to suggest an improvement using this technology. And along the way, I'll give another little, like, how the technology works, because there's a slide I'm going to stop on for a minute that talks about that. But let's go over sort of normal physiology right now. There is a brain to adrenal gland communication, and then that communication reflects to the gut. Okay, so there are nerves in your brain that communicate with the adrenal gland and have a biofeedback mechanism with something called hormones. So the adrenal gland creates a series of hormones. Those hormones are responsible for your blood pressure, for your salt content, for something called cortisol, which can control your blood sugar. And then the adrenal gland is critical for your overall health. There are diseases of the adrenal gland and tumors of the adrenal gland that interfere with this, but the average person can really be tweaking their adrenal glands by chronic stress. Okay, so chronic stress from your brain can interfere, and we'll talk about that because it is a feedback loop. Okay, autonomic control. When I talk about autonomic control, I'm talking about an automatically done without your brain thinking about it, neurologic control of any body system. And every cell in your body is associated with your nervous system. I know that's hard to imagine. One way or another, it's talking to your brain. And the only exception to that might be tumor cells. And I have to say, I'm not an oncologist, so that's a little bit out of my purview. But it's one of the reasons cancers will get out of control, because it's become an autonomous zone. Like, is it Seattle that has the autonomous zone where bad things happen and no one's allowed to go in there and stop it? Yeah, it's the Chaz. Was it the Chaz? It's a terrible concept. Seattle, get rid of the Chaz. It's a tumor. It's cancer. It's going to spread. It's going to cause bad things. All right. So anyway, I digress. The autonomic nervous system, you have involuntary control of. It falls into two categories. There's the parasympathetic, which we call rest and digest. And then there's the sympathetic, which is fight or flight. Okay. And a lot of you've probably heard that. The brain communicates with the intestinal tract through the autonomic nervous system, through the longest nerve in your body, the 10th cranial nerve, called the vagus nerve. Neurotransmitters go from your brain to literally from your lips to halfway through your colon is controlled by the vagus nerve. The microbiome within your colon and your small intestine creates neurotransmitters that then talk to your brain through this nerve as well. Okay. When you are stimulated in a sympathetic fight or flight, the blood flow escapes your intestines. It's got to go to your heart, to your lungs, to your vision, to your acuity. It's going to your adrenal glands to pump out cortisol, adrenaline, and other hormones, and it kind of starves your intestinal tract. That's what's happening in the sympathetic pathway of the intestinal tract. Now, in the parasympathetic pathway, under normal conditions, blood flow sort of rushes to the area. Yeah, everything's relaxed, right? You can absorb nutrients and you're able to digest. Now, the parasympathetic pathway, because of tumors and whatnot, medications can get out of control with side effects. But as a general rule, parasympathetic is your rest and sympathetic is your stress. The vagus nerve, real quickly, again, lips to the middle of your colon. There's some cardiovascular effects to it. And there are some urologic effects, even though you would think, I don't recall seeing the vagus nerve touching the bladder. But there's a known reflex. If you overfill your bladder, your pulse will slow down. And if I say boo, you might become incontinent of urine and stool. Puppies do this all the time. But, if you've ever been almost into an accident, it's like you can feel that in your bladder, like, holy smokes. That is a vagal response, and it occurs throughout your entire body. It is critical, right? Every part of your body is connected to your brain. Okay. So now your brain is going to connect to your adrenal gland, but the hormones from your adrenal gland will connect to your gut. Well, and then your brain connects to your gut. We just established that. So it becomes this little trifecta, this little menage a trois, so to speak, of activity that's going on. Okay. So brain and adrenal gland are talking, brain and gut are talking. The hormones to the adrenal gland are talking to your gut. I don't know that your gut's necessarily talking to your adrenal gland, but the microbiome is responsible for a lot of things. So I will do some research to see if there's a reverse on that. But sympathetic, so this is fight or flight. Now, in the old terms, we can think of it as here comes the Viking hordes, right? Imagine, picture it. England, in what year? The 1200. I mean, I don't know what year the Vikings came along. But picture it. It's right 1,000 years ago in England, and you're sitting there as a little farmer. You see this guy. What does that mean? You're about to die. Your wife is about to be abducted, raped, maybe murdered. Your children might be abducted and taken into slavery, maybe murdered. Everything you own will be destroyed. You had to do something, or everything you know was about to disappear. Interestingly, your brain cannot tell the difference between that and the IRS, or when your boss is an asshole, or you're in a stressful situation. You're getting into an argument with some road rage, right? People act weird when they're in enclosed spaces, and some of that is guided. In fact, probably all of it is guided by the sympathetic nervous system because your brain is misinterpreting the signals. This is a false feedback. All right. Your entire village is not about to get burned down by the IRS. You're about to take a financial hit. I get it. But your wife is not about to be raped. Your children are not about to be sold into slavery. It's money, which is very stressful. And your brain treats it as if the Viking hordes are coming. Does that make sense? So, the modern world, these stresses are everywhere. It's the nightly news. It's your next door neighbor making noise. It's your kids coming home refusing to listen to you. It's chronic, and your adrenal glands were not accustomed for this. Okay. So we're starting to see how modern life causes disease by virtue of the autonomic nervous system. Now, this is everyone's goal, right? The parasympathetic. Golly, can I have just a day off? Can I have a quiet meal with my husband without interference from somebody? That is what we all are striving for, right? So our goals in life are not to be nervous Nelly. Our goals are to be relaxed. We want to control the sympathetic nervous system, tone it back, get it back in line, and achieve a neurologic homeostasis. All right, so that leaves Super Patch with this brilliant idea. Now, you'll have to excuse the butt humor. If, Spotify people, you can't see what I'm putting up here. It'll be in the slides. It's an X-ray. It's an X-ray of a light bulb in a place where it's not supposed to be. That's how I say light bulb moment. What can help you achieve homeostasis of the intestinal tract? And there's no one thing. This is critical. It is a thing, and patients hate it when I say that. This is why I talk so much about nutrition. Patients hate it when I say it, but it is true. A series of things have to happen for you to achieve homeostasis of the autonomic nervous system when it comes to your digestive tract, which is the concept we're discussing today. The first is you got to make smart choices, eat a clean, non-GMO diet. The second is support yourself where the weaknesses are. If you don't like veggies, you might have to do, some powdered micro green. There's a great company. It's called Micro Ingredients. I love it. It's a powder, mixes easily into water. I don't have time to juice. Some people can't do vegetable matter because it upsets their stomach. There's too much cellulose in it and their body just can't do it, but they need you need the nutrients. So juicing is an awesome alternative to that. And I'm not talking about fruit juice you get at the store. I'm talking about a masticating juice of veggies to get all the phytophenols and the stuff that's good for you. You can get it in a powder if you want to, or even in capsule pill forms. There's a bunch of different companies. Just make sure you choose one that does organic. Okay. And make sure the ingredients are fresh, but support your body if you're not making the smart choices as well as you should. And this vibro-tactile technology kind of is one of those things you can do for yourself to help support your body. You can't take away the TV. I can't take away my phone. I'm on call all the time, right? So that stress, people's lives are on the line all the time, 24/7, 365 days a year. I have no partners for 20 some odd years. Like the stress of that. So this is a godsend for those of us who are under that stress. Now I'm stopping on this for just long enough. This is going to be printed in the PDF that goes on my website. And I want you to take out your little phones and take a picture of that and somehow follow the QR code, because this is a paper that was written in 2006. It predates this technology and explains almost exactly how the technology would work and what parts of the neurologic system you can address simply through ion channels in the skin. This is an amazing review article. It might be a little sciencey, I don't know. But when people are like, I don't believe it, there's no medicine in this patch. I can't feel it when it's on. It must not be real. Okay, this is a review of the literature from 2006, so nearly 20 years ago, and it predates this technology. Okay, this technology is based on this information. Maybe not this exact paper, but I mean, they've committed to memory a bazillion different papers. Okay, this is Nobel Prize winning concept that there are channels, what are called piezoelectric ion channels. They're throughout your body, not just in your skin. But as it turns out, the piezoelectric ion channels in your skin can function as a control center for the neuroendocrine system. This is what I just spent the last 20 minutes talking about, the neuroendocrine system. So if you stimulate these piezoelectric channels in just the right way, your brain, by virtue of autonomic feedback, will show a change in its function, which you can measure with an EEG. And as a result, it's going to send back signals in a corrective way to correct the pathway. In other words, the texture on these patches is simply sending a signal to your brain to achieve autonomic homeostasis. These patches are not disease specific. They are autonomic nervous system pathway specific. And you can show that with an EEG. And you should think of these patches as the Control-Alt-Delete on your computer when your computer is acting wonky and you want a program to stop. Control-Alt-Delete. You don't know how to reprogram the computer yourself. I don't. I just know Control-Alt-Delete. Now, here's the interesting thing. There are some computers that are so far gone. You get the blue screen with the blinking cursor of death. You know that one? Your computer is tits up. There is no Control-Alt-Delete for that. Okay. Your autonomic nervous system can achieve the same. There's no Control-Alt-Delete for it. So probably 5% of patients are in that category. There's a defect in this pathway. The patch does not work. Their EEG does not respond. They are in the blue screen of cursor blinky. You can't reset the pathway. 95% of pathways, that error can be reset by applying a very specific pattern onto the skin. And that's what these patches do, right? So that's why I wanted to spend time on this. So for everyone who's like, it's fake, there's no medicine in it. That's cool. And you'd be denying yourself, honestly, a brilliant technology. Feel free to do the research yourself. That's a lot of papers to read, which is why this review article, I think, is so fascinating to me. And so you could follow that QR code to find it. Okay, and I am convinced that if you were to read that, and I hope it's not too sciencey. It's been so long since I spent my whole life as a scientist. So to me, it's like, oh yeah, it totally makes sense. Some of you guys are like, okay, yeah, that's too industry techno speak. And I apologize if it is, but that shit's brilliant. Okay, so anyway, that's the explanation of that. And then I also put in this slide, and I'll spend 2 seconds on that before I wrap up. But basically, each one of these little patches has a unique series of ridges. You cannot actually see, they're microscopic. There's a tactile pattern when you place this on your skin, and as you move, as the skin moves, that pattern interacts with those channels in a very specific way to talk to your autonomic nervous system. There's no medicine in the patch. You cannot feel an effect. If this pathway in you is normal, it will not improve anything for you. If you are on an exogenous medication that's interfering with that pathway, this patch may or may not help you. It can't override things. Okay, so if you're stressed out by modern life, the little peace patch will absolutely help you. If you are not stressed by modern life, and not going to help you. It's not an Ativan. You're not going to put it on your skin and feel like, whoa, man, that's not what happens. You won't realize you have it, except you'll have an interaction with something that's stressful in traffic and realize, huh, that did not bother me. I didn't spin off the rails when I did that. So this is a great alternative to a medication. Now, the second you take the patch off, you're back to your baseline, which is stressed out or whatever the case may be. He's got a bunch of different pathways, right? So it's not a cure, right? It's not a replacement for medications or doctors. It is the first step in the pathway when you have a stressful time, you can't sleep, maybe you're traveling, you don't want to get sick. There's a bunch of different series over the time. We'll talk about those. And right, so know what it can do and don't fall into the trap. Well, is there a study on it curing XYZ disease? It doesn't cure anything. And right now, all the scientific studies that they have done have been to test the autonomic pathway, not a specific disease state. The peace patch, which I swear by and I wear daily, you can compare the EEG of someone who is a master meditator. After 4 hours of meditation, their EEG looks a very specific way, and within 5 minutes of me putting on a patch, my EEG will look the same way, and I don't know how to meditate because I get easily distracted. I think you can see that. Right? So, okay. So that is one way that it can help, and those are the studies that they have done. I personally am trying to kick off a study to see if these patches will help improve the rate of falls in a hospital setting, because that is a serious cause of injury and even death in the world. It's just falling out of a strange bed because you're in a hospital and you're sick. And so there are approaches. Now for digestion, we'll go over the ones in particular. Since you're watching me for digestion, I'll pop through these real quick since I'm out of time. But Liberty Patch, this is a vagus nerve autonomic support. And since your gut talks with the vagus nerve, this is probably a very helpful thing to do. The peace patch interacts with the adrenal gland. And so if you have IBS because of stress, consider those two things. Is it curative? No. Should you go to your GI doctor? Of course. You want to make sure you don't have cancer or some other kind of crazy problem. You don't have a serious illness. But if your doctor has done $1 million workup and they keep telling you there's nothing wrong with you, yet you still have crampy belly pain and diarrhea, in addition to a clean diet, microbiome testing, I suggest those two patches. Okay. He's got two other ones, and that's the question mark. Okay. And if you're Spotify, I apologize. You can't see this. It's kind of a funny slide where someone has stuck a candy cane someplace where it doesn't belong. I turned it into a question mark because question mark. I don't know. I'm making a logical leap right now. The ion channels in your skin truly do communicate with your immunological system. That's how your immune system communicates, triggering ion channels and sending out signals. One of these patches called the Defend patch taps into that known fact. So when you travel, it's a good thing to do. During COVID, that would have been a good thing to do. Flu season, that's an awesome thing to do. Your child is sick and you cannot miss a business meeting. This is a very good thing to do. Okay. Hypothetically, since your intestinal tract is the largest immune organ in your body, this ought to grant some manner of benefit. I am not saying that if you have diverticulitis or colitis or something, that this is going to fix you. Listen to me very clearly. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying if you've got an ailment that your doctor says, hey, there's nothing that we can do for you, you may want to consider these interventions. So I want to be clear. There's no one disease that any of these devices is designed to fix or cure or intervene on. They're intervening on the neurologic homeostasis pathways between your brain and, in the Defend patch instance, your immune system. So if you're somebody who takes vitamin C and vitamin D and zinc when they get on an airplane, this is an awesome thing to add when you get on an airplane. I hope that makes sense. He's got a new patch out for the skin, which I find fascinating. You're like, why is a gut doctor, right? Why is a colorectal surgeon in the med spa business where they do facials? As it turns out, the skin and the lining of your intestinal tract kind of need all the same ingredients to be healthy and to glow and to function in its just optimal way. Good digestive health leads to good, clear skin. So my reverse logic is this patch, the Lumi patch, is designed to improve the blood flow to your skin and thereby improve the complexion of your skin to give you kind of a natural glow. It's fascinating. Improved blood flow causes increased collagen deposition, et cetera, et cetera. That is the basis for all of our non-surgical aesthetics that we use in the med spa. Hypothetically, your intestinal tract requires all the same things. It requires good blood flow, collagen deposition, which means you got to have a clean diet, you got to hydrate, and consider this little patch. Okay, so if you've got skin issues, consider this patch as an additive, not as a replacement to whatever your dermatologist is saying, as an additive. Let's see if we can get you off some of these pharmaceutical medicines by letting your brain help you. That's the whole point of all of this. The key concept in this discussion is that the digestive system is extraordinarily complex. The human body is extraordinarily complex. There's no one intervention. This just in, the medicine that your doctor is giving you is dorking stuff up just as it's helping you. Right? There's a side effect to everything. Okay. So the answer should not be, I feel like I've got a cold, I'm going to go to my doctor and get an antibiotic. That may make you psychologically feel well. It may not treat your illness, and it for a fact is going to have a side effect. So it's nice to see something that does not actually have a side effect, okay? The concept is homeostasis, balance in life. There is yin and there is yang, and you need to understand yin and yang, achieve balance in your life, and that was really the key, I think, to longevity. Okay, so I once again have gone over. Gosh, I cannot say these things in a short period of time. Anyway, so if you have interest in anything that I've just said, please do follow me on a variety of social media platforms. The website that I do my wellness out of is drannatoker.com. There's a lot of free resources there. I do have a paid for platform there that's called Gut Check, and that I'm getting ready to revamp. Don't worry if you've paid for that program. I hope you do like it. You'll get lifetime access to the monthly subscription, but I think I might turn it into like a $5 monthly subscription. And then I do personalized little 30-minute videos like I just did with you guys publicly. I do for my Gut Check program audience. And so if you have interest in that, please do follow along. And then I'm posting this to Spotify as an audio podcast, and then I'm posting to YouTube and Rumble, as well as other social media platforms, because the one that I'm currently live on, that I have the most visitors on, is trying to stifle my message. And I suspect it's because I'm telling you there are there are alternative ways than giving all your money to a pharmaceutical industry. Everything has a side effect. What I love about this technology is that it has no side effects other than you might get a rash at the site of the patch, right? There's only benefit, and it can be used in anyone, pregnant women, children, no matter what medicine you're on, you can use this patch. And so I hope y'all glean something from that. The name of the company is called Super Patch, and you can just go to superpatch.com. There are private affiliates who sell and promote. Please do find these people. This is how they make a living, is by being sales representatives for this particular company. I try not to get into the business aspect of the company. So superpatch.com, do your own research, find an affiliate near you. And if you are an affiliate and you're watching this, please do share this information with your clients, because I think they'll gain from it and get an understanding of what this can and cannot do. All righty. We'll see you guys next time.